This time on Woody's Garage, it's Roma Nova time, baby. Again.
Back on my friend the Roma Nova. Notice something. I thought this thing was all wrapped up. No. Okay, the new clutch is different than the old clutch. The chain where it rides on the shaft is about a 1/4 inch this way than the other clutch was. And I was really shocked to find that out. Here I did all my lining up on that other clutch. You know, I looked at a whole bunch of clutches online. This is like, you know, every clutch looks like this pretty much. Like every one you can buy, unless you want to spend a ton of money. So anyway, I said, what am I going to do? Still look for that bushing for that other clutch? Look for another clutch? No, this clutch looks like pretty much how they make them now. And, you know, there's a reason there's a ring clip in here, a C-clip, and then there's a little bit of space, and then the chain seems to be, I mean, the sprocket itself seems to be in further than they usually are. But, you know, all the pictures I saw, it looks like that's the norm. Anyway, I said, what am I going to do? All this shimming and bushings and that kind of crap. So I decided to pull these out, these bushings that are inside here that I made. And I said, I'm going to need to go over about a 1/4 inch. So I roughly got the measurement. I measured up the bushings I had. I actually had more stock to cut them, but what I realized is that these bushings that they sell at Lowe's were exactly the size I needed. So it, you know, it cut out the work that I didn't have to actually cut them into pieces, but these are a little bit wider. There are bolts here, and on the bolt in the middle I put a strip of tape to kind of center these, because these are a little bit sloppy, so that they center like really nice and tight. And I put those in, and that's good. These bushings had to change a little bit. That one I just left the same. And when I spin the wheel, you know, the sprocket looks nice and straight. It starts to bind over here. Uh-oh. And I'm going like, what the hell is going on? I mean, if you look down it, well, you can't see it. I can see it, but it looks straight as hell. The deal is that this baby has a dropouts and the wheel adjusters back like this, I think for a reason. I put a screwdriver, I took the wheel out and I put a screwdriver across like this, and it's definitely kind of like this. This side is closer to the engine than the other side. So I'm going to have to make those chain adjusters back out of here using some eye bolts. And I thought, well, for this plate here, I'll take a piece of pipe and cut the piece of pipe in half and drill a hole through it, and then crimp down the pipe so that it fits on the side like that, and that should be fine. But what a bitch this has been. You know, I also wanted to get new bolts for these because the other ones went into the wheel about, maybe a little more than a 1/4 inch, and I didn't think that was enough bite. These guys go in like a 1/2 inch, because it can actually go in like an inch, so that's a lot more bite. And I'll feel a lot more comfortable with that. But, you know, so next will be to make these things. Okay, I bought a couple of these at Lowe's to use for chain adjusters for the Roma Nova. Actually, I bought 4 in case I screwed these up. What I want to do here is flatten out both sides of this part and leave the threads intact. I probably only need like this much of it, but we'll just leave it until that's determined. So I think I'll just take the grinder and flatten them down so that they're like a fat washer. That's one side. Another thing, I'm going to have to use a Dremel and bore it out a little bit on the inside there so it'll fit the axle. It's just a little bit small. I'll show you when I'm done. Okay, we got about this thick. Ran out of ideas on how to bore out the middle, but I used this wood rasp round. I think that's about all I got. It cut it and it's good. I just wonder if this is like going to be too thick. I really don't think so. I have plenty of axle left to catch it. So we'll make the other one, and then we have to make the end caps for down here. Okay, we got a pair of these. They're about the same thickness. They'll both go over the axles. Now the end plate. So I got this piece of pipe for the end plate. What I'm going to do with this is I'm going to drill a hole this size right about there to go through it. Then we'll cut it with a hacksaw to length. We got to split it down the middle, and I'll show you what I mean. Okay, here are these guys in raw form. Thinking of crushing them in the vise to get them square, but let's see like how they kind of work now on the bike. Okay, there's a rough idea there. Plate is just sitting there. Crush it maybe with some vise grips, crush it in the vise so that it straddles that piece of metal better. I don't think it'll get in the way if I just flatten it over, you know. I don't think I'll be pulling it back quite that far, chain adjustment wise. I just slap these on. Obviously these need to be cut off. These could be trimmed up. Like I said, maybe pinch them with the vise grips. But I mean, I just threw this on and the alignment right away is just fine, which is my final goal anyway, so that's without even trying. See if it goes this way. Yes, it does. Yeah, so to get a better look, obviously you can cut a little bit off on the bottom, smooth out the top to the line there, and cut these down to about yay. Now you know, they're not like traditional ones that come off and then they kind of come in and go straight back. These are just going to come off at an angle like this. So they're going to like point inwards, I think, no matter what I do. I'm not going to try to do a fancy bend in them or something like that. I'll probably double nut these too, so, you know, vibration, they don't fall off. They shouldn't. They're doing their job, but they'll fall off. Okay, today I'm back at the Roma Nova. Been a little bit frustrated with it because of the alignment problems. Where it stands right now, and I've probably said it in previous footage, is it's still not lined up right. Now that sprocket is kind of far away from the tire, about as far away as I'd want it to be to have any stability. And it's still off from the new clutch that I got. I've been kind of looking for an old clutch where the sprockets are a little bit closer to the engine, if you can see that. That's moved so much compared to the clutch that I had on here that didn't have the bushing in it, lined up just fine. So I was kind of like looking for a new clutch, this, that, or the other thing. Now, if I change the bushings on the side here to make them smaller and nudge the tire over, it would not be centered anymore, but I could get it to line up. But that's, to me, that's cheating. So I want to find out exactly what it's going to take to get that completely lined up. I was wrong about the chain adjusters here, bringing it into line. I was just fooling myself because it was just twisting the wheel like this and looking like it was in line, but it actually was not. So that's why I haven't been doing anything with it and trying to think of what I should do with it. Another thing I don't like is it's getting pretty tight as the axle goes through this section of the wheel. The two bearings and that spacer. I got to pound it through there, and I wish it would just slide through there. So something's not right in there either, and there's evidence on the axle I'll show you in a second. Yeah, it's a brand new axle, and you can see like right there. It's kind of chafing. Maybe that's just after I pulled it out. No, I don't know. Okay, we got the engine all the way back, so it's got to be squared up now. Now we also have an issue, like I said before, that this axle going across, it kind of dips in this way. So this has got to be pulled back and square. And to me, like right there, that looks perfect, but I've said that before. Well, I've decided that I want the wheel in the center. The sprocket is as far out as it's going to go. I'm not going to take it out any further than that. No, I'm not going to shift the wheel over so it lines up with the clutch. That's just retarded. As you see, the chain up there is not on the sprocket. That's where it needs to be to line up. And yes, I've seen clutches in the past, older ones, and there's a quality clutch that's out there, Nomar, NORAD, something like that. I can't remember, but they have this the sprocket right up to the end and then the clip right on it. It's not so foreign like this one is. So I got to look for a clutch like that somehow, because I think it's the only solution to this one. And I think I'm going to see where I left off with the RUP, because that's not finished either, and start working on that and just, you know, look for a clutch. Well, I also got to say I found these pegs in my motorcycle stuff. They're like buddy pegs, and I was thinking of putting these on the Roma Nova, but not sure I'm going to go about that yet, because I would like to get them here instead of up front.